Hey guys, and welcome back to the Oracle of Hope. You don't know, it's the Oracle, back as always. So I wanted to share something a bit different today, which I'm inspired to share. I feel like, it excites me and it feels good. It feels good to share this story. Anyway, let's get right into it. So I'm not sure what the lesson is, but I'm gonna let you guys figure that out. I'm just gonna let you listen and figure out what the meaning is for you individually. So yesterday it was 5:30 p.m. and I clicked onto Facebook, which I don't usually do. I don't really use Facebook now, to be honest. I'm just gonna take a breath. I'm a bit too excited, just a little bit too excited to share this story. Okay, so it was 5:30 and this event was starting at 6:30 and this event was an hour away from where I live. Like it takes me an hour to drive there and it started in an hour. So I was like, oh my God, like I need to make a quick ASAP decision. Do I want to go to this event? And part of me was like, oh no, it's an hour drive. Who knows if it's going to be good? It might just be a bit boring, rada. And then another part of me was like, fuck it, like I haven't got anything else to do, you know, I've got no other plans, like surely it's not going to be worse than just sitting and watching TV, you know, doing something of that matter, because I've done that quite a lot. So I was like, if I can do something else, like why not? So I was ringing up some of my friends and I was like, hey, are you free? And they were like, no, I've got plans. So like all my friends that I messaged had plans. So I was like, well, this is a few signs. First of all, this is a sign that I obviously want to go, because why would I be inviting a friend to go somewhere if I didn't want to go? So I noticed like that part of me that was trying to get a friend to go as a permission slip for me to go. So I was like, I don't need a friend as a permission slip for me to go to this event that I want to go to. So I was like, but do I really want to go? Because there was like conflicted thoughts about if I wanted to go. So I thought, let me flip a coin, because I never flip a coin. I was like, I'm going to flip a coin. If it lands on heads, I'm going. If it lands on tails, I'm not going. So I got a coin, flipped it, bing, and it landed on tails, which was not going. And I felt the disappointment in me. I was like, oh, like I'm not going. And I was like, right, that's the sign I needed that obviously I'm going, because if this coin flipped and said, girl, you're not going, and breathe. Sometimes these messages and these things happen so we can see our truth, you know, because by it landing on you're not going, that showed to me obviously I want to go, or else I wouldn't be disappointed. So that disappointment was the key indicator from that of, despite this external circumstance telling me no, don't go, my internal system was like, yeah, I want to go. Like, oh, as if I can't go, I want to go. So I took that as my sign. So I was like, so that was like the first like situation of whether to go or not, which then I was like, right, okay, I'm going. So then it's an hour drive. So then this is where a next step comes in, the next like phase of this journey, of okay, what do I pack, what do I take, what do I wear, what food do I take any drinks for the journey, do I take anything for whilst I'm there? So that is my like preparing part of me, which can be really good, or it can be, you know, not so good. So then I was like thinking what to pack. I like put a few bits in, put my drum in, put like my instruments in, because it's like a music open mic jamming event. And last minute I was like, oh my God, let me like bring my wings, because I make shamanic smudges. I was like, let me just take them, you know, fuck it, like I can just leave them in my car if I don't want to use them. So I packed that. I packed my colourings as well, because they do like colouring, dancing, singing. It's all just like creative, like kids stuff. It's like the best thing ever. Just like going there and doing you know, just being allowed and having the permission slips to just eat, you know, healthy snacks and healthy food and connect with people and have a fire and sing and dance and colour. They got like colouring sheets. So yeah, so I was like, okay, back to the preparing part of me. I was like, right, I could get changed, I could do this, I could do that, or I could just turn up how I am and just trust that that's enough, you know. So I was like, fuck it. So I didn't get changed, I didn't like do anything major, and I just went. I was like, right, let me just go. And then, so that's the second like block thing, and then I'm driving, and this is the next block. Because a part of me likes to be early or on time. Like, it's been ingrained to me that you have to be early or you have to be on time. Like, being on time is late, like where I've grown up, so it's always early basically. So obviously the event started in an hour from when I saw the thing on Facebook, and obviously it takes me an hour drive as well. So all that time in between of making the decision, choosing whether or not to get changed, putting everything in my car, like all these things. Sorry, I've drunk cacao, so now energy is shifting because we're talking about these, you know, parts of me. So yeah, it feels like a healing process talking about these things. So yeah, so I'm driving, and then I can feel part of me wanting to drive a bit faster than usual, like putting my foot on the speedometer, you know, and listening to music that like is getting me frantic, getting me like a bit worked up and a bit dysregulated, because like me driving faster and me listening to this music was stimulated by like feeling like, oh my god, I need to get there as soon as possible because I'm gonna be late, you know. I'm gonna drink some water. When, you know, we're never late, our experience is always on time, we're always in the right place at the right time. So, and everything works out best case scenario, thanks to those affirmations from Leo Alexandra. Shout out you girl. So I'm driving, and I realise like this doesn't feel like me in my feminine to be driving. Like, you know, I was only like going like 70, a bit over 70 in that region, and I was like, no, I don't want to drive at that speed. Like, for me, like it feels nice to drive about like 65. Like, that's my like, I'm going fast but I'm still like going feminine and gracious. It feels gracious and safe in my body. So I was like, okay. And then I slowed down my drive, and I was like, oh, like this feels better. It doesn't matter if I'm, you know, because I was going to be half an hour late, but the welcoming ceremony didn't start till 6:45, so I'd be half an hour late to the event opening and 15 minutes late to the welcoming ceremony, the opening ceremony. I was like, that's okay, you know. And I thought of my other friend who's like always late. She's like always late to everything. And I was like, well, if she's allowed to be late, then I'm also allowed to be late, because permission slips, you know. It's just a different way of living. So I was like, okay, I can just enjoy my ride, like listen to some music that actually feels nourishing and good right now, and just like enjoy myself on the way, you know. So I did that, and that was fun. So that's like 3 roadblocks that I overcome to this in just this one trip, you know. So yeah, so I got there, and you know, it's all busy, like all the like nearby car parkings took, so I went and parked like somewhere where they advised to park, and I just took my drums in. I thought I'll leave my smudges, my wings in the car, and if I need to get them, I can just get out and get them later. And I got to the event, and it was all perfect, you know. They just started like the singers, like the open mic, so people were singing, and like as soon as I walked in, like one of my favourite people was singing, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I went to this event not expecting to know anybody, you know. I was open up to all scenarios of if I knew people, if I didn't, if it was just going to be me, you know, as a loner at the back, watching, just observing, you know, because I didn't know what vibe I was going to be there in or how I felt, if I wanted to connect with people, if I didn't. So I was like, I'm just so open to whatever happens. And one of my favourite people was there, so that was so nice. And just like listening to him play and stuff. And then I did some colouring, like I just like did some other stuff basically. And I saw, I think 3 or 4 people there that I knew that I didn't really have, like I know them and we speak a little bit, but we don't really have a connection. And like, because whatever reasons I see them quite often throughout the years, but not often enough to like, you know, become real good friends with them. But I thought, you know what, like I actually want to speak to these 3 or 4 people more. Like I know them and I actually want to build on these connections. You know, part of me was like, you know, judging a bit, like oh well, they've got more important people to talk to, I bet they don't remember me, I bet they don't know who I am, even though we spoke a few times, because I speak to loads of people. And I was like, well actually I'm not going to use any of these excuses to not do what I actually want to do, because like I hear what that voice is saying, but actually I just need to do it, because the worst that's going to happen is that they forget me or, you know, whatever. So let me just roll with it, you know, and just trust, you know. So I spoke to all of them and had great conversations with all of them, and it was beautiful. It felt so nourishing to add some energy and focus and attention into these connections that I actually wanted to build upon, you know. Like I don't want anything from these people, I just like their energy and would just like to, you know, add a bit more like substance to that connection. So yeah. I'm just trying to get all the information. So yeah. So as well as connecting with these people, when the open mic, like open to everybody, like I went on the open mic, I was like just so naturally felt comfortable to go up and get a microphone and like harmonize and just like add energy into the space. And it felt so beautiful, you know. Of course there was, you know, self-judgments of you can't sing, you don't know what you're gonna say, and I was like, well, I'm just gonna go up and make some noises and hide in the background until, you know, a sound or something that I want to sing comes through. So I was doing that and just building up my confidence of, you know, standing in front of all these people with the microphone, which I only started doing like last year. So I think it was the first time I used a microphone was last year in front of people. I always had this like fear about singing in front of other people. But then the universe blessed me with loads of friends who love to get on the mic and they love to sing and they just fucking own the stage. So I was like, girl, like that was my permission slip to get on there with them and just have fun, because I wanted to do that, you know. It's fun and I enjoyed it. So I wanted to, you know, keep adding energy to this thing, to feeling confident just to get the microphone no matter how I sound, and just contribute to this harmony, to the sound that we were creating. So yeah, so I did get on the mic and I stayed on there for like 10-15 minutes, and like I saw feedback from people as I was doing it of like their expressions, like putting thumbs up, nodding, and I was like, yeah, like this feels so good and nourishing to have, you know, these feedbacks, you know, these responses to the situation. Yeah, and choosing to actually receive and absorb that feedback from people. You know, whereas sometimes in my life I choose not to, because I don't want the validation. I don't want, you know, the to depend or rely on external people to say, oh yeah, you look good, or, you know, you're doing well. I like that to come from within. And like when I was here on the stage, I was saying that to myself, you know, you're doing fine, like don't worry about the nerves, because I felt nervous, I felt like anxious, so I was like shaking my body and like stamping my feet as I was like singing to like shift the energy, because I didn't want to feel the nerves, you know. I was like, I'm over the nerves, like how can I shift this energy while staying on the mic? So then to give myself that validation and that affirmation, and then somebody else to give it me, it was like thank you for reassuring and adding more evidence to this new belief, to this new way of being, and it's really nice. So yeah, so that was good. That was really good, and I enjoyed it. And then I was dancing a bit. It felt good to dance, and just take up space and just be myself, you know, just being myself, taking up space. So then, there's like so much juice to this story, which is why I was like, oh my God, I need to come on and share it, because this could be several different permission slips to so many people, you know, about whatever, however you interpret it as a listener, you know, as the person in this conversation with me. So yeah, so I'd finished singing, and you know, people were just coming up to me and talking, and just like having some really nourishing conversations with some new people, which was really nice. Like people were like drawn to my energy, and like I was obviously such a magnet that I was attracting these people into my experience who I was having, you know, hugs with and deep conversation with. And sorry, I got knocked off a bit there. I heard a noise and it like knocked me off. That's one of my triggers. So yeah, but I'm good now. I'm good. I'm safe. So yeah, so I had these conversations and a beautiful connecting with these people, and then I was like, well, I've got these bird wings, I need to like talk to somebody about smudgers. So I felt drawn to this guy and I spoke to him, and he makes smudger fans. So I was talking to him about, you know, if he needed more feathers, if he wanted some wings. So I made a contact there. Then I also spoke to this other lady who she makes hats, so she makes like party hats. So that was like an absolute dumb down of what she does. She makes these beautiful like event hats that are like glamorous and glitz and glam and like so beautiful for festivals. Yeah, so she makes those, but she actually really wants to make like feather headdresses, and me going up and talking to her was the permission slip, or the kick up the butt, as she says, to actually go back on that route, because she wants, you know, she wants to do that, but she needed the kick up the butt to say, girl, like this is what you're supposed to be doing. And me, I love that when I have no idea why I want to talk to this person, I just feel drawn to, and then they say, oh, you know, I've been talking with spirit or the universe or God or whatever you call it, and I've been saying like, I want to do this. So you are like the permission slip that she needed. I was the permission slip she needed to actually go back on that route. So I also exchanged numbers with her, to show her all the feathers and wings that I've got as well. So yeah, so it's like a mutually beneficial contact we're making, you know. So that was like another blessing that came to me that night. And then like as soon as I walked to the event, there was this like little altar as soon as I walked in, and I was like, oh my God, like whoever's altar this is, I can feel I need to talk to these about smudgers. Like this person, whoever it is, like needs a smudger, you know. So then at the very end of the night, I was just about to leave and I saw this girl packing up at the altar, and I was like, oh my God, like, is this your altar? She was like, yes, mine and this other girl's. And I was like, do you need a smudger? She was like, how did you know? So basically she had been calling in a smudger. She'd been calling in a smudger. She already had a small one, but she was calling in like a bigger, more like powerful, majestic smudger, in like a crow or a magpie, like these types of things. And I was like, girl, like I've got a whole crow wing, and I've got this crow smudger as well that can also be a hairpiece. So I got them out, and she's like, these are perfect. I was like, what? Like, what in the divine synchronicity, the divine appointment, the divine orchestration is this? You know, not only these other people who are seeking what I have, but this girl who right here, right now has been calling this in, and I'm just the middle person. I'm the deliverer of the universe's work, you know. I felt drawn to these crows. I did everything for these crows, and I had these for a long time, you know. And I was like spirit, like what am I meant to do with all these wings? I have all these wings, and they're just here, you know, and I want them to be used. That the spirit of them wants to be paired up with and used and of service, you know, to the world. And she was like, yeah, so it was perfect. And so she got them, she bought them, which was amazing, because just good. It was just like such a beautiful flow. So that was so beautiful, like just the divine appointment of it all. So that was beautiful, and it was so happy. And it was like parting with the baby. I was like, oh my god, like it felt like I was like giving my child away, which was so beautiful. And it was like really emotional and moving, because of the journey that I'd been on with this crow, you know. So beautiful. It'd been like been with me to many festivals, and like events and ceremonies and things. So all good, all excited. Just feeling so full of love, and I felt so inspired to like share this story so soon afterwards, so that I was still in the energy of it, so it was still fresh, so I could like mention it all, because like there's so much juice and value and nourishment from this evening. And these like things happen regularly in my life. I just don't share about them, and I was like, why am I not telling these stories? You know, I've got so many great stories that I share with people, and they're like, oh my god, like this is epic, you know. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that this time. Okay. Okay, then the next part of my story. This is just a little detail here. So like I brought a stool, I brought loads of drums and stuff. And I love when I go like giving out my things and letting people use them and trusting, you know, because a thing I'm like relearning is evidence that I can trust people, and that like with my stuff as well. So like letting people use my drums and use my things and trusting, you know, that they're going to take care of it, they're going to respect it. And then seeing evidence of that is so beautiful. It really gives more evidence of my faith and trust in humanity, and that I'm safe and all this other stuff, that all my stuff is safe. So that's so beautiful as well. And then what else? There was something else. Singing, dancing. Oh, and then so I'm part of a women's circle, a sacred movement. And we're always looking to expand. We're always like looking to welcome new people into this space, not just women. I think we're opening it up. We're going to have a conversation about that, for it to be more inclusive. But traditionally it's a women's space. And I met some people that I was like, this person, like I can see so many of the women in this space, in this person. I was like, I don't know why, but I feel drawn to tell you about this movement that I'm in. So I shared details with her, and she was like, yeah, like tell me more, I want to know more. So I told her more, and we exchanged some details. And yeah, this is like potentially like a new sister that I get to share my everyday and weekly experiences with, and I get to connect to as part of my anchoring community of love, of non-judgment, of welcoming, you know, no matter where I'm at in the world, no matter where I'm at emotionally, no matter what's happening externally in my world, in my bubble, I can come into this space and be received by these beautiful women and like be held and be given advice and be just like seen and heard, and like being able to respect and just like nourish each other. And it's so beautiful, and to share our gifts with each other, you know, and yeah, to be, you know, potentially welcoming this new woman who I just met, you know, a few hours ago into our sacred cocoon of love around our sacred fire is phenomenal, you know. So that's another blessing, you know, that's another blessing. So many blessings this evening. And then the last blessing is around the fire at the end. So just about to leave, you know, it's kind of late, you know, kind of past my bedtime. I was like, I should be in bed by this time. And I've got an hour drive home. But these people are singing some Spanish medicine songs around this little fire. So I'm going to stay because I like medicine songs. And they're singing and they're sharing. And they're just like really bringing through the spirit, the energy of the medicine, different, you know, plant medicines. And I was like, like one of my favorite, most divine, like experiences and moments is after you've gone through the whole journey of purging, of releasing, of your up and down of the medicine ceremony. It's like the peaceful calm after the storm, where all is well, where you're held in this sacred, nurturing, motherly energy of the spirit of the plant medicine. And these two people were just singing and channeling through that spirit, and I was like, it felt like I'd been like burst open to this love bubble. And these people who I didn't know, and the girl that I spoke to about the movement with, the women's circle, she was the other like person singing this type of music, as well as this other guy I'd not like connected to. And they were singing, and it was like so beautiful, and I was like receiving the energy, the medicine, the connection of the plant mother working through these people. And it was just so divine. It was such a blessing. It was like such again, a divine appointment, a synchronicity, a serendipity, whatever you want to call it. It was soul nourishing. It was like a reminder of who I am and what I am and what we all are and what they are. And it was beautiful, so beautiful. So yeah. So they're like all my magical things that happened in this beautiful evening of not wanting to go, and the amount of, you know, times and events of things where I've not wanted to go, or I've not had enough time to prepare, or I don't know if I'll know anyone, or my friends aren't going, so that means I can't go, you know, just like witnessing, allowing the nature of my mind to say all these things and just do it anyway, you know, like just doing it anyway, you know, hearing them thoughts, you know, not trying to avoid them or suppress these thoughts, just allowing them to be, and being like, well, actually, I do actually want to speak to these people. Like, I understand these fears are coming up, but I actually want to go to this thing. Like, the worst that could happen, you know, is I waste the petrol and I waste the time and I waste the money that I spend, you know, but so what, for the chance of what may be, let me just try it, you know. They're all just choices, they're all just decisions that we make. And this time it really paid off. And I have so many more stories like this. Thank you for joining me for this journey of my experience, this little like connection, circle time, like vlog, whatever. It feels like a bit of a podcast episode, you know, the tales of the oracle. Yeah. So yeah, so beautiful, so beautiful. Calling off the end now, ending this session, bringing close to the ceremony that we have had. We have had a very beautiful ceremony today, and it is now coming to an end. So yeah, thank you for joining me. This thing, I keep seeing this thing. If you made it this far, which I'm sure all of you have, thank you for joining me. And until next time, I love you. I love you. You are loved. You are worthy of receiving love. You are worthy of everything you desire. And by your simple wanting of something, that's enough. You know, that's enough. So keep trusting yourself. Keep trusting the universe. And little by little, then all at once. Thank you. Goodbye.